guys, so today I have a cooking video for you. I know it's been kind of a while since I've done one. They're a little bit more difficult to film because I have such a small kitchen, like counter space wise, that it's a little harder to do. And I didn't really cook much the last couple weeks just because it was really hot, and I just kind of made really simple like sandwiches and stuff like that just because it was just a lot of work and I don't like to have my oven on or my stove on when it's really hot out. So anyway, today I'm going to be making roasted cauliflower soup. I found this recipe on Pinterest and I've kind of changed it a little bit to suit me and what my husband and I like a little bit more. I will have the original recipe that I found linked down below, and then in this video I'll kind of show you how I do it. So anyway, let's just jump right in. So the ingredients that you're going to need are thyme, parsley, you can use fresh or dried, I just use dried, corn, frozen or canned, whatever, a can of chicken broth, olive oil, heavy whipping cream, a whole head of cauliflower, some butter, minced garlic, milk. I just use fat-free or skim or whatever because my husband doesn't drink milk, so I just use this. And then cheddar cheese or Colby cheese or whatever cheese you like. Alright, so what I've done is preheated my oven to 425 and just broke up the whole head of cauliflower into small little pieces, like bite-sized pieces. It's a whole lot of cauliflower. So now, and I've tried to make sure that most of the little stem part is gone because I don't particularly like that part. So now what I'm doing is just taking my olive oil and then I'm gonna drizzle just enough to kind of coat all of it, and I usually just eyeball it. I start out kind of slow. I can always add more. And then I put a little bit of salt and pepper. Ooh, I'm running out of pepper. Let me get my others. Sprinkle it with salt and pepper all over. And mix it up. Make sure that it's all coated, and I have covered my cookie sheet with tin foil just to kind of help with cleanup, less of a mess. I really like this soup. I made it a couple weeks ago for the first time, and that pot didn't even last. There was barely any leftovers, so yeah, it was good. My husband and I both loved it. So now I'm just gonna put this in the oven for 25 minutes, just kind of check on it and see how it's doing. The edges of the cauliflower and stuff should get kind of black and brown because you're roasting it, and then I will. So when I did the ingredients, I forgot to mention that you will need a large onion, just kind of roughly chopped. I'm putting 3 tablespoons of butter into my soup pot, and I'm just gonna let that melt down, and then I'm gonna add the onions and kind of cook that all down together. So now I'm just adding my onions to my butter, and I have measured out all of my milk and my heavy whipping cream, and I will have all of those measurements down in the description box. So now that my onions have cooked down a little bit, I'm going to be making a roux, which I did not learn how to do until the time I made this. Every time I did it wrong. So this will be the second time that I have done it by myself. So hopefully all works well. So I already have my butter and my onions, and then I'm adding 3 tablespoons of flour, and I have my whisk ready. And I'm just gonna dump that in and start whisking it up and let it cook for about a minute or so, just to kind of cook out that raw flour flavor. And I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit so nothing burns, and I'm just going to keep it moving. That's kind of what I have learned, is to just, if I keep it moving, then it's less likely for me to burn it. And I think it's a little bit easier with the onions in it because it keeps it from like getting into a giant clump. I don't know, I just think that this one has been a lot easier for me to make a roux with this recipe than other recipes. So now that that has kind of cooked a little bit, I'm just gonna keep going with it. It's a good little arm workout. Smells kind of, I love the smell of cooked onions. I love onions, so there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I already have all my liquids measured out, and I'm going to slowly add in my milk, like very, very slowly add it in, so that way it keeps my, it thickens up better. See, now you see it. Now it's like nice and thick. And then just add a little bit more. I take my time with this just because I really want to make sure I get it right. When you get better at it, you can go faster, but since I'm still kind of learning how to cook, I will go slow. Slow and steady wins the race. See, now it's like it's getting nice and thick, and I usually add enough to kind of cover the bottom of my pan to make sure that I get all of it up off the bottom of the pot. And I'm just gonna keep mixing it. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more. This is gonna be so stinking good. And then add that last bit. And whisk that together really well. Make sure it's all incorporated. Next, I'm going to add my heavy whipping cream. And I guess you could add all this in like at one time, but I just like to do it in steps. I don't know why. That's just how I do it. And it will thicken up as it cooks too, so don't worry if it's kind of thin. And then I'm going to be adding a whole can of chicken broth. And again, just kind of adding slowly. I'm gonna let that cook for a little while and just let it kind of, just the milk mixture and all that stuff, the base of the soup, I'm just gonna let it cook down with the onions and kind of thicken up a little bit, and then I will be back. So I've let my soup kind of simmer for a little bit. My cauliflower is still in the oven, but I'm going to be adding about that much garlic. You can add as much or as little as you want. My husband and I both really like it, so we add a lot. And I'm just gonna stir that in. And I have my corn, my canned corn that is drained, and I'm just gonna pour that in, if it will open. There we go. Just put some of that in. There we go. I love sweet corn. So good. So good. I'm just gonna make sure that's all incorporated. And next I'm going to add my parsley. And I like to add quite a bit. And then the same thing with my thyme. You can add, you know, again, just do it to taste however much you want. I like lots of it. So, and you can always add more, add less. I don't usually add salt and pepper or anything like that until I serve it, or to any of my cooking really. I don't add a whole lot of salt and pepper just because I don't know how much other people like. And my husband, sometimes he's in the mood for it and sometimes he's not. So I'm just gonna continue to let that simmer. I have it kind of on like a medium high heat. It's set to about in between 5 and 6 on my stove. So I'm just gonna let that simmer until my cauliflower is done, and then I'm just gonna incorporate my cauliflower the exact same way. So my soup is still simmering away, and my cauliflower has just come out of the oven. You can't really see it because I have it cooling. But now what I'm going to do is put my cauliflower into my soup. And it's really hot, so I'm just taking a slotted spoon and a little wooden spatula, and I'm just scooping it up and putting it in the soup. My house smells so good right now, it's not even funny. And look at how pretty, like that cauliflower looks pretty. I just think roasted vegetables in general look really pretty. I could be weird, but that's why most people like me, because I'm weird. Anyway, just putting it all in. So now that I have all of my cauliflower in, except for that little piece, in my soup, you can either stop here and just eat it like this, or you can add cheese. And my opinion is that everything is better with cheese. So what I'm gonna do is take my pot off the heat and I'm gonna let it cool down for a little while. Probably, I don't know, it's only oh my gosh, why can't I? It's only 5 o'clock and my husband probably won't be home until like 7:30. So I'm gonna probably take this off the pan or the burner for till probably 7-ish, and then I'll put it back, and then I'll add all my cheese and stuff, and you can add as much as or as little as you want. I'm just gonna be using Colby cheese. I usually add maybe a cup to 2 cups, just kind of, I just eyeball it like I do with everything. And then I will put it back on the burner and let it heat back up, so that way when he gets home, it'll be nice and hot. But that's all. It's really easy, and you can add like green onions to it if you want, or anything else. Guys, so that was my easy cauliflower soup. It is kind of like a little bit time consuming, but it's actually like really easy, and I am not a very good cook, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. The longest thing probably is just breaking up the cauliflower into bite-sized pieces, but other than that, it's super, super easy. My husband and I both love it. It heats up really well. If you heat it up in the microwave, I would just do it in like 10-second increments, just to kind of make sure that it doesn't burn anywhere and the cream in the soup doesn't really separate that much, but that's really the only thing. And you could serve it in bread bowls, you could serve it in regular bowls with bread on the side, or anything else. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and sharing my videos. It really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thanks, bye.